In a surprise move, forces of the People's Liberation Army have attacked and captured Wake Island in a bid to threaten US lines of supply. USMC forces have been short-stopped from their deployment in Manchuria to respond to this new threat. The airbase on Wake Island is the linchpin of the Chinese air threat. However, it is highly susceptible to ground attack from either the northern or southern approaches of the island. This video is going to be a retrospective map analysis of the Wake Island map from Battlefield 2. This is the longest running map in the Battlefield franchise. From its origins in Battlefield 1942, and its continuation in the series through Battlefield 2, Battlefield 2142, Battlefield Online, Battlefield 1943, Battlefield Heroes, Battlefield 3, and finally to the present day in the latest War in the Pacific content for Battlefield 5. But this video will be focusing on the Battlefield 2 version, which was the most played map between the US and Chinese forces in the game. We'll be looking at the real-life inspirations for the map, as well as the environment and layout of the map itself. We'll also be going over the flag points and equipment that both the USMC and PLA forces have at their disposal here. Wake Island, also known as the Wake Atoll, since it is actually composed of 3 islets, with a reef surrounding the main lagoon, is an island in the Pacific Ocean about 1,500 miles, or 2,400 kilometers, east of Guam, and about 2,200 miles, roughly 3,540 kilometers, west of Honolulu, Hawaii. The island was first discovered in 1568 by Spanish explorer Alvaro de Mendana de Nera. The small atoll was rediscovered in 1796 by British sea captain Samuel Wake, which the island gets its name from. On January 17, 1899, Commander Edward D. Tossig would take formal possession of the island for the United States with the raising of the Stars and Stripes flag and a 21-gun salute. In 1941, the United States began building up naval defenses on many of its islands in the Pacific, including Midway, Guam, and Wake Island. A permanent military garrison was established on the island in August, with elements of the Marine Defense Battalion commanded by Navy Commander Winfield Scott Cunningham. In addition to the Marines, there were also other Navy personnel and civilian workers on the island. The Battle of Wake Island began on the 8th of December 1941, with bombers from the Empire of Japan attacking the Wake Atoll. The battle for the island would continue until the 23rd of December, when the remaining American forces would surrender the island to the Japanese. The island became known as the Alamo of the Pacific for the 15 days that American forces held out against the Imperial Japanese Navy, and inflicting heavy losses, including the sinking of 2 of its destroyers. No attempt was ever made by American forces to recapture the island. Instead, it was blockaded in order to cut off the Japanese garrison there. The remaining garrison would surrender the island back to the United States Marines on the 4th of September 1945. Today, the island is still used as a military base, under the command of the United States Air Force, where it acts as a refueling and emergency landing site, as well as a missile launch site being located south of the airfield. This was just a brief history of the island and the famous battle that took place there during World War II. If you're interested in a more in-depth video of the historical battle, I can recommend this video from another channel called Baz Battles, link in the description box. The map itself in Battlefield 2 doesn't have much in the way of ambient sounds, other than a light windy breeze and birds chirping in the tropical trees. The number of control point locations are exactly the same no matter which size version of the map one is playing on. Because of this, I will only be focusing on the 64-player version of Wake Island, since all versions are the same. This is a Conquest Assault map, in which one team acts as the attacker and another acts as the defender. On this map, the USMC are the attackers and have an uncapturable base to start off from. They also start off with more tickets as well. And the PLA are the defenders, automatically controlling all the other capturable points on the map. Wake Island has a total of 6 control points. The uncapturable USMC point is the carrier, while the capturable PLA control points are the North Village, the North Base, the South Base, the beach, and the airfield, and there are no neutral control points on the map. There are 2 wooden bridges each located in the north and south parts of the island. These bridges can be destroyed using explosives and will require an engineer to repair them. The carrier is the first uncapturable USMC controlled point in the northwest part of the map, and acts as the main base for the US team. The only way off the carrier is either by jumping in one of the aircraft that spawn on it, or by taking one of the ribs down at the stern gate of the ship. To get down there, one needs to just climb down one of the ship's starboard or portside ladders and follow the stairs down to the stern. For the commander support structures, the radar station is at the midship, and the UAV trailer is toward the starboard bow. As for the vehicles that spawn here, as mentioned, 4 ribs spawn down at the stern gate. One F-35B Joint Strike Fighter will spawn at the stern of the ship. One AH-1Z Viper attack helicopter and an MH-60 Nighthawk transport helicopter also spawns at the stern as well. As for the stationary emplacements, one Phalanx CIWS anti-air system is located at the midship, and another is back at the stern. There is a tiny island just southeast of the carrier that players on the US team can also spawn at. This island has 2 ribs they can use to get off the island with. The island also has a Stinger AA emplacement to target and shoot down enemy aircraft. And the 3 LW-155 artillery guns for the team are also located here as well. The North Village is the first PLA-controlled point, on the northern end of the island. This is also the closest point for the US team to try and capture. The main entrances are along the dirt road in the northwest and southeast. 8 civilian buildings are located here. Regardless of which team controls the point, one tank spawns in the middle of the village, and one FAV spawns at the southeast entrance. Further to the northwest of the point is an AA launcher. And even further northwest than that, at the tip of this part of the island, is a small bunker that an FAV spawns next to. The North Base is the second PLA-controlled point, directly north of the airfield. The main entrances to the point are along the dirt road in the west and south. There are 3 buildings and an old concrete bunker here. The bunker can be garrisoned by infantry, and this L-shaped building has space in the corner of it that infantry can take cover under. No matter which team controls the point, one FAV and a light vehicle will spawn at the south entrance next to some sandbags. As for the stationary emplacements, One AA launcher is also at the south entrance next to some palm trees. And another one is further south of the point on top of a hill in between the north base and the airfield. The south base is the third PLA-controlled point on the southern end of the island. Like the north base, this one also has two main entrances along the dirt road, one in the west and one in the east. 4 buildings are here, with this same building that can provide cover for infantry under its roof. This small hut next to the flagpole can also be garrisoned. And players can take partial cover under the hut itself, which allows them to be close enough to the flagpole in order to capture the point. Regardless of which team controls the point, one tank spawns at the west entrance, an FAV spawns next to the L-shaped building, and a light vehicle spawns right across from it. Only one AA launcher emplacement is located west of the base near the wooden bridge. And further west across the bridge, at the tip of this part of the island, is another small bunker and where another FAV will spawn. The beach is the 4th PLA-controlled point, in between the south base and airfield. The point itself doesn't really have a main entrance, but the best direction to approach it from is in the north, down the slope. Another good approach is to the west down another slope. The only structures here are a small bunker near the flagpole and an old concrete bunker northwest of the flagpole on top of a hill. Both bunkers can be garrisoned by infantry. No vehicles spawn here, and the only emplacement is an AA launcher on top of the hill east of the flagpole. This hill also makes a great location for snipers to fire down at infantry on the beach below, trying to capture the point. The airfield is the 5th and final PLA-controlled point. This is the largest point on the map by far, and is the most important for the USMC team to capture, and for the PLA team to defend, as it is their only way to have aircraft on the map, as well as being where the commander's support structures for the team are located. The point has 2 main entrances in the north and west, but it can also be approached from the beach to the northwest. It can even be infiltrated from the south down a hill at the end of the runway. There are 10 buildings, 4 guard towers, 2 concrete bunkers, and a small sandbag bunker at this location. The 2 concrete bunkers can be garrisoned by infantry, and these 2 L-shaped buildings can provide limited cover for infantry under their roofs. And this building specifically allows players to be close enough to the flagpole to capture the point with. For the commander's support structures, the UAV trailer is by the runway next to a radio tower. The radar station is next to the small bunker on a little hill to the west of the point. And the 3 D-30 artillery guns are located down on the beach to the northwest. As for the vehicles that spawn here, 1 tank and 1 FAV spawn in the middle, regardless of which team controls the point. If the USMC are in control of it, then an FA-18 Hornet spawns on the runway. If the PLA maintain control of it, 1 WZ-10 attack helicopter spawns at the helipad near the end of the runway. And a Z-8 transport helicopter will spawn at the other helipad nearby the UAV trailer. And 2 J-10 fighter jets will spawn for the PLA team. But the second one will only spawn if the first J-10 has taken off from the runway. As for the stationary emplacements, one LMG is located in each of the guard towers at the west entrance, and another LMG is located in one of the guard towers at the north entrance. And one AA launcher is next to the concrete bunker near the end of the runway. So there are a couple of other locations on the map that are not control points, but that I do think are of interest to mention. East of the airfield, close to the beach where the artillery guns for the PLA team are, is a beached ship. This same model ship can be seen on other maps in Battlefield 2, such as Zatar Wetlands or Songhua's Stalemate. Throughout the map are the crash sites of 6 World War II Japanese Mitsubishi Zero fighter planes. 1-0 is at the northeast end of the island, west of the North Village, near an AA launcher. Another is on a small hill close to the wooden bridge, in between the North Village and North Base. And another is also on a hill between the North Base and Airfield. This one is unique in that it is missing both of its wings. Another 0 is west of the airfield and the beach, near an AA launcher, and is amongst a group of palm trees. The 5th 0 is at the southern tip of the island, on the side of a hill, propped up against a couple of rocks. And the last 0 is next to the small island that the US team can spawn at. You can actually swim over to it and walk on the wreck itself. All of these zeros are a great homage to the original map from Battlefield 1942 that players can discover as they fight their way across the battlefield of Wake Island.